Welcome back. Today, we are diving into something unexpectedly fascinating. We're going to literally slow down time to meticulously dissect a mere 20-second pet script from our source material. And it turns out this isn't just some cute dog trick. It's actually an absolute masterclass in audience retention. We're going to examine the exact anatomy of a viral piece of content to see how every single one of those precious seconds is heavily engineered to keep your eyes glued to the screen. This failed, but then, notice that shock emoji? Now, you might realize we totally skipped our traditional agenda today. Well, that's entirely on purpose. We're plunging right into the opening line of our source material, perfectly mirroring how short-form content has to immediately hook your attention. There's no fluff, no waiting around. You literally have to grab the viewer right out of the gate, and this very specific combination of text and emotion is designed to do exactly that. Section 1. The 20-second masterpiece script 5 combo. Fail turns into trick. Delivering a complete, satisfying narrative arc, a distinct beginning, middle, and an awe-inspiring climax in the literal blink of an eye? That is a really ambitious constraint. But what is truly interesting here is how visually mapping these 20 seconds reveals a rigid, almost biological structure engineered for maximum engagement. From 0 to 3 seconds, we've got the hook. Then 3 to 12 seconds is the fail montage. 12 to 18 seconds gives us the trick, and finally, the outro and call to action. This isn't just a random assortment of funny clips thrown together. It's a calculated formula. So let's break down each of these vital pieces. Moving right along to Section 2, dissecting the 3-second hook. Let's really slow down time and look at the functional mechanics of these very first 3 seconds. Notice the primary visual cue. We have this big, bold text placed right on screen, "This failed, but then," followed immediately by a literal screaming shock emoji. It's absolutely fascinating how this specific pairing plays on human psychology. It instantly creates this massive curiosity gap. It acknowledges a relatable failure, sure, but that phrase, "but then," combined with the emoji, it essentially promises a jaw-dropping resolution. Your brain basically demands to know what that then is, making it nearly impossible to just scroll away. And while the viewer is reading that big on-screen text, here is the audio they're getting hit with. Try teaching my dog to fetch. Total fail at first. Establishing a relatable baseline of a total fail is such a smart, subtle move. It captures your attention by completely subverting the modern expectation of a perfect, highly polished pet video. It feels so much more authentic, it makes you lean in and think, oh hey, my dog is terrible at fetching too. Boom. It instantly bonds the audience to the creator. Once that hook is firmly set, we enter Section 3, the comedy of the montage. This phase covers the 3 to 12-second mark on our timeline, meaning it takes up nearly half the total runtime. The script leverages this prolonged escalation phase to build a very specific comedic rhythm before giving us the ultimate reveal. Picture the visuals of these actions. First, the dog just runs right past the ball. Then it brings back the completely wrong toy. And finally, it just flat out trips. It utilizes the classic comedic rule of threes to constantly heighten the chaotic, silly atmosphere. It's essentially a rapid-fire sequence of visual slapstick that raises the stakes of the incompetence, making us laugh while keeping us completely hooked for that promised resolution. And right while the dog is tripping all over its own paws, the narrator delivers this perfect punchline. He brought everything except the ball. This perfectly timed voiceover acts as the ultimate anchor to all that visual chaos happening on screen. It isn't just describing the action, right? It actively grounds the viewer in the comedic reality of the fail. It keeps the energy incredibly light, fun, and totally engaging as we speed toward the final act. Which brings us to the highly anticipated payoff. Section 4, unlocking the combo move. So what exactly is the combo move? The source material defines it as a sudden, impressive trick consisting of spinning and dropping the ball perfectly. Now, the crucial point here is defining the exact physical requirements of this climax. This isn't just asking the dog to sit. It's highly dynamic. Spinning midair and executing a perfect drop instantly transforms the dog right before our eyes from a clumsy, lovable mess into a secret, highly coordinated genius. To accompany this sudden visual triumph, the voiceover excitedly declares, "But then he showed off this combo move." Let's look at how this builds upon that very first promise we made to the viewer. This specific line acts as the crucial narrative hinge of the entire script. It is the direct, immensely satisfying answer to the text "but then" that we saw back in the first 3 seconds. It instantly validates all of the viewer's patience for sticking around through the funny fails. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark emotional contrast engineered right into the script. The hook handed us a highly relatable total fail at first, while the climax delivers a dog that suddenly showed off this combo move. We are looking at a highly engineered emotional shift packed into a tiny, tiny window. We just guided the viewer through a complete character arc, traveling all the way from disappointment to absolute triumph in under 20 seconds. Let's look at the finale. Section 5, Crafting the Perfect CTA, or Call to Action. Now that the climax has successfully landed, it's time for the critical conversion phase. This is where all the excitement earned from that spectacular combo move is strategically harvested. As the trick concludes, the text completely shifts to unexpected talent unlocked, followed by a dog emoji and fire emojis. This goes way beyond just being decorative text. It's a visual celebration that reinforces the climax. The phrase talent unlocked feels incredibly rewarding, almost like hitting a video game achievement, while those fire emojis visually validate the hype of the trick we just witnessed. It leaves the viewer feeling energized and, honestly, part of a shared victory. Then comes the final pitch. Like plus subscribe for daily pet chaos. Let's break down this call to action, because its wording is actually masterful. Notice that it doesn't say subscribe for more dog tricks or subscribe for cute dogs. No, it specifically promises daily pet chaos. That brilliant phrasing guarantees the viewer more of the exact emotional rollercoaster they just enjoyed. It's the relatable, funny fails mixed directly with the surprising wins. It perfectly encapsulates the dual nature of the entire script in just 4 words. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, spoken directly to the viewer in the source material. Would you train your pet like this? We're going to conclude our explainer today by posing this exact final question to you, but with a bit of a structural twist. Think about the mechanics we just thoroughly dismantled. The immediate psychological hook, the comedic escalation, the sudden pivot to awe, and the highly targeted conversion. Would you train your audience like this? I really challenge you to deeply consider how these hyper-fast, 20-second retention tactics can be actively applied to your own storytelling and presentations. Thank you for diving deep with me today, and as always, keep learning.